Maranatha is working in some of the most remote places in Kenya. Especially as you move up north, there is no water. It's dry, dry, dry. All these places, absolutely no water. At some level, as human beings, it hurts. I mean, you say, wow, how can somebody go through this? I mean, how can you live like this? And so you say, can we in some way make a small difference? My name is Ron Kedas, and I work for Maranatha in Kenya. So, as we have been traveling across the country, one of the biggest need that has come across is water. I mean, desperate, desperate need. Every place that we have gone, I think almost every place that we have gone, the first need is the water. That there's no rivers flowing. There has been a drought for such a long time, and people are dying, cattle are dying, there is no food to eat, there's no water to drink. People go sand scooping as far as 10, 15, 20 feet to just get a small quantity of water. And most of the places that I've seen or heard about are at least 3 to 10 kilometers away. That's the range. So they spend about 2 to 4 hours just one way going to get water and come back. How can people just spend the entire day going and getting water to do something at home and again going in the evening and getting water? That's all they do, get water. And also it's not clean water, it's just dirty, dirty water. People fall sick, cholera, children die. Children die, adults die.
It's been 2 years since Maranatha Volunteers International began working in Kenya. Initially, the work focused on building churches and schools in some of the more remote parts of the country. Already, Maranatha has constructed more than 200 churches and classrooms all over central and northern Kenya. But it quickly became apparent that there was another urgent need that couldn't be ignored: water. In Kenya, out of 46 million people, more than 18 million do not have access to clean water. For this group, water comes from ponds, shallow wells, or rivers. Each year, thousands of people fall ill or even die from drinking contaminated water. In more rural areas, the problem is worse. Few agencies are willing to make the haul to the isolated locations, leaving people discouraged and deserted. These are the areas where Maranatha is hoping to help.
My name is Pastor Timothy Guto, in charge of stewardship and church development in Central Kenya Conference of the East Kenya Union Conference in the East and Central Africa Division. It is true that some of the places where we are doing well are in the remote part of this country. And some of them, almost you drive more than 300 to 400 kilometers to get to those villages. There are no roads. Their life is really difficult in the area where they live. And these people, they also feel that they have been neglected, they have been abandoned.
Several of the villages where Maranatha has worked are located in central Kenya. This part of the country is home to Samburu and Turkana tribes. They are pastoralists, a group of people that move from place to place in search of water and food for their cattle and their families.
What normally happens is that when it comes to search for water, mostly it means that even the young children, as they grow up, they also have to fetch water from long distances.
In the culture, women and girls are responsible for fetching water. This requires hours of walking. They are vulnerable to heat, physical exhaustion, and even the risk of predators. The lack of water also has an impact on boys. They are given the task of helping to tend animals. Boys as young as 4 or 5 years old are taken on long journeys to find pasture and water for the family's cattle. For both boys and girls, the idea of education is secondary to the family's critical need for water. But a permanent source of water has the potential to change everything.
One thing that the water will do is that the people will settle, and a permanent settlement will happen, or it will be established. Role Paruai is one of the pioneer places in this region, that is in the northern part of Kenya, where our church first established the first well that was donated by one of the members, a missionary of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And by doing that borehole in that place of Role Paruai, a permanent settlement has taken place, because people don't move in and out.
Not too long after the well was drilled, missionaries established an Adventist school and soon a congregation. None of this would have been possible within a nomadic lifestyle.
You get the same people consistently living there, and the lives, especially of the mothers, has become manageable within the community because water is near, and that has made life to be transformed in that village. The children look healthy because they even take, some of them now take a shower on a daily basis and go to school, come back. Now, as a result of them trying to change themselves economically, now they have formed a group within the Role Paruai community that they can easily make beads and take those beads to the market, sell, and be able to earn some income to enable them buy some like food and also even get to pay some minimal expenses for their children if need comes up. And that is a transformation.
In the last 2 years, Maranatha has helped to further develop the Role Paruai community by building additional classrooms to their existing school and a new church. It is a church that is steadily growing, thanks in part to the fact that women no longer have to spend time hauling water. This is Justina. She started the Adventist group in Role Paruai years ago. She believes the water well has helped to bring the gospel to her village. She says now kids are going to school where they are learning about the Bible. People are coming to church regularly. There is less fighting between tribe members because there is water and there is God. Now there is time for members to go door to door for outreach or to invite friends to church. They've even visited other Samburu villages to share the gospel. This is Larisoro, located not too far from Woparai. Thanks to Justina and her friends, a group meets regularly on Sabbath. Further away is Larata. Justina and her friends also visited this village to help establish a church. As a result, 2 more communities now have Maranatha churches. Soon, these villages will have water wells too.
This year, by the grace of God, Maranatha has got a new rig, our own rig, and so we can go to places which normally are very, very difficult to get in. And this is going to be a big difference in the life of these people.
Providing clean water, along with a church and school, is a model that Maranatha is hoping to implement in many of the locations where there is a need. Yet in the tribal areas, it isn't always easy to give help. Learn why when we come back.
These women spend 560 minutes a day fetching water. Water is life. But your life shouldn't revolve around water. We're raising money for water wells. Make a donation. Give women the gift of time, health, family. Sponsor a well. Give water, give life.
For the past few years, Maranatha has been developing a water plan in Kenya. Recently, a generous donor sponsored a well rig for Maranatha, allowing us to work more efficiently and in more places. Places that most contractors would not pursue due to distance and difficulty. The hope is to bring clean water to some of the most rural villages in the country. The process of providing a well in a community begins with a request from the leadership of the Adventist Church. Maranatha also works with geologists to determine the best location to drill. Through it all, Maranatha works closely with the leadership of the village. Sometimes this can be the most delicate part.
So what happens is, it depends what tribe you're getting into. By nature, they are very hostile because they have to protect their cattle, their land, because everything depends on fodder for their cattle, everything depends on water, and the other tribe sort of encroaches on their land because again the fight is for fodder and water. So they are very suspicious of anybody whom they do not know. So when you walk into these villages, these tribes for the first time, they stand under a tree. And they have got their machetes, they definitely have a club, and they stand there and they just watch you. They just watch you. I mean, you can feel the stares on your back as you're walking. It is terrifying, but at the same time, when you go back and they come to know you, they know that you're here for good and you're not here to take their land away or take the cattle away or change their way of life. You're here to actually just help. Because see, they're not used to being helped. Thank you for... But when they see you're here to help, and just help without anything in written, that is where the barriers slowly start coming down.
These days, the Maranatha name is known among the people in this region, and Ron's arrivals are met with cheers.
he has developed a connection with the communities by first building up relations with them and identifying with them, which makes them accept him as one of theirs and as a friend who is willing to listen to them and at the same time plan to meet some of the basic needs which they think are necessary. You meet him among the villagers, once they see him, you hear them shouting from far, our friend, our friend.
When you go into these villages, there's so much love. I mean, it's so difficult to explain it because, I mean, there is joy. You have seen the part where you first walked into that village, and then here's the second part when you're getting into the village, and people actually love you, care for you, know your name. So when you go and give water first thing, they stop traveling and stop moving from place to place. Second thing, it opens them up to us that, hey, these people actually have come and given us something that is very, very basic and very, very important to us to grow and survive.
When we come back, we take a look at the types of wells Maranatha provides to meet the need for clean water in Kenya.
It's already November, and 2018 is almost over. But if you had a goal of volunteering with Maranatha this year, there's still time. From December 20 to 30, you can join the Family Project in Bolivia. Join volunteers of all ages in Cochabamba, building a church for a congregation in need. Then spend Christmas doing outreach in the local community. After the project, you'll also have the opportunity to visit La Paz and the world-famous Lake Titicaca. This mission trip is appropriate for volunteers of all ages and designed with families in mind. If you can't make a project in 2018, then sign up for a mission trip to Kenya in 2019. From February 27 to March 13, we need your help in building dormitories at the Kajiado Avenue School and Rescue Center in Kenya. This special place gives a home and education to Maasai girls. To learn more about these projects and more, visit our website at maranatha.org.
Anyone can build a church. Simply give just $10 each month, and your donation, along with thousands of others, will fund a new place of worship every month. The potential for change is all around you. All you have to do is look.
In this part of Kenya, the water crisis is so serious because, for example, for the last 10 years, the rains have been so minimal. Actually, there have not been rains at all, and that has led to a water crisis in this area. In some places, they even regulate how many times you should be able to drink in these regions. It's not, you cannot just wake up and you are thirsty, you want to drink. Even animals, they regulate that they must drink twice in a week, and they have given regions days when they go to get that water in those dry places.
Over the years, Maranatha has drilled more than 1,000 water wells around the world. And this year, Maranatha launched a program to fund and drill water wells in Kenya. But the situation in Kenya is different from what crews have encountered in other places. Water is a little more difficult to find in Kenya, requiring two different approaches to pumping water out of the ground.
So depending where you are and how deep you go, are the type of pumps or wells that we're putting in. You know, if it's 100 meter, it's a hand pump.
Hand pumps, which are sometimes called bush pumps because of their popularity in Africa, are used most often by Maranatha. They are easy to install and cost-effective. But a hand pump doesn't work for every situation. Any distance below 100 meters or 328 feet, Maranatha crews must install a submersible pump that requires electricity. And since most of the locations are in extremely rural areas, solar panels are necessary to provide energy.
Depending where you are, especially as you go up north, it's dry and sandy. I mean, very, very desert sort of thing. So we go pretty deep. Like we just did a well right now, which is about 260 meters deep, and we hit water, but it is deep. And most of these places that we are working is anywhere between 200 to 300 meters deep wells, because the water table is just very, very low. If we go much, much deeper, then we use an electric pump or a solar panel, because there's no electricity. So electric pump, solar panels, and mind you, these wells cost a lot. They are not cheap to put, because again, we have to go very deep. They're very remote places, and getting this, just the survey done is a hassle. This is Maranatha. It's about a 3 hours drive from a small town called Isulio, and it's the Samburu tribe. And it's dry, very, very dry place. The people in the Samburu tribe, these people are a little bit poorer, because just it's as you go up north, it just gets drier and drier and drier, and so they get more poor and poor and poor, because the cattle die, there's no water, it just becomes worse. I think they said about 3 hours walk in that direction, and the other place is a borehole that they say is 10 kilometers, which takes them about 3 to 4 hours to go, or 3 and 4 hours to come back, and that's salty water. So that's the only water they have in Maranatha.
Until now. Just days ago, Maranatha completed a well for the community.
Right now in Maranatha, we have put a hole that is about 260 meters deep. We have put a submersible pump. We have got solar panels that are getting installed. We have a tower, a water tower, and a 10,000 liter tank, and it's good source of water. So this is so big that people from all over this area, people are going to be walking 4, 5, 6, 8 kilometers just to come to see this happen, because it's, again, as I said, it's unbelievable that somebody came, promised, and has delivered in such a quick time. And they want to see they're going to be really water coming out of those taps today, and when they see that, it's going to change lives. I mean, it's just going to change lives, and it's also going to help people know that the Adventists are people who do things. When they say something, Adventists are people who care, who love, who want to give, and who want to change lives. So I think this is going to be a huge thing today.
From church leaders to local government officials and a steady stream of locals, a large group of people gather to dedicate the new well. In the background, crews are working on what will be their new one-day church. Then, after the formalities, the women make their way over to the pumps. In Maranatha, there is now a well. It is one village changed in a sea of thousands that need help. But every drop in the bucket leads to an overflow of blessings. These stories of hope and transformation are born from your support. Each well we drill represents the giving spirit of a donor, yet there are so many more in need. The crisis for water is tremendous, but the potential for change is greater. You can help the Mission for Water in Kenya by making a donation to Maranatha. Every dollar brings us closer to helping another village and planting the seed of transformation in a community.
I really thank Maranatha so much, and also praise God that He's using Maranatha to go into various parts of the world where nobody will be able to think or probably imagine that such people need also to be reached. But the Maranatha is going in those difficult places, spending a lot of resources to ensure that they reach in those difficult places. That is something I will be able to thank Maranatha for, and thank the leadership for having that thought that regardless of how difficult some of the places you are doing work, you desire to really penetrate and reach out to those places and put up churches, put up schools, and also put up boreholes, which you have now started recently in our country. I will thank and pray to God that let Him continue to bless Maranatha with more resources to reach out to many other communities and change lives, not only just to supply the physical needs, but it will also make them get the spiritual needs to prepare them for eternity.